Do not cook that grenade because you will kill us all.
Copy.
And I've got a shield.
What I want you to do is I want you to click your right mouse button. I want you to slowly aim your mouse up.
Copy.
And I want you to throw that frag.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Throw it like a fastball.
Balls are expandable. Just
On my go?
We'll just demote soap.
Don't drop it.
Bro,
Don't drop it.
bro, you're good. Frag out.
Oh shit.
Get back.
People hear the word veteran and immediately picture combat, gunfights, deployments, kicking doors in somewhere overseas. But the reality is the military is made up of thousands of different jobs, and not everybody experiences the same army. I served in the United States Army as a cook. Yeah, I was the dude making sure people got fed before they went out to do cool shit. And look, before anybody says it, every soldier still goes through the same basic training, field exercises, weapons qualifications, all of that. I learned the fundamentals, and I was trained for war like everybody else. I just never ended up seeing combat during my time in. Honestly, I still don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. Like, obviously, I'm grateful I never had to experience some of the things other veterans went through, but at the same time, there's always that weird feeling of training for something your entire military career and never actually doing it. So when I found Battlegrounds RP, this military simulation server inside 5M, it caught my attention immediately because suddenly I was stepping into a version of the military life I never personally experienced. Convoys, squad movements, radio communication, firefights, tactical operations, the kind of stuff I only ever trained for. And the crazy part is, for a GTA roleplay server, some of these moments felt intense as hell. Not because it's real life, obviously, but because everybody around you is treating it seriously enough that you kind of get immersed into it. So this video isn't coming from some hardcore combat vet perspective. It's coming from somebody who served, somebody who understands military structure and culture, but is also experiencing this whole tactical side of things almost for the first time alongside you guys. And honestly, that's what made Battlegrounds RP so interesting to me. But before we continue this operation, I gotta hit you with the mandatory briefing. And if you're enjoying the content and want to support the channel, make sure to lock in that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out everything we've got going on at Clean Sanchez Media. We've got podcast, gaming content, live streams, and a whole lot more. Especially go check out my gaming podcast, Bong Rips and Video Games, where we talk gaming news, internet chaos, and pretty much whatever insanity happened that week. You can find all the links, merch, podcast, and content over at Clean Sanchez Media Linktree, or you can just check out the links in the description below. But all right, guys, let's get back into it. So first, what exactly is Battlegrounds RP? And Battlegrounds Roleplay, or BGRP, is a military simulation roleplay server built inside 5M for GTA 5. Instead of the usual cops and robbers style GTA RP most people are used to, this server focuses almost entirely on military operations, factions, combat scenarios, convoy movements, tactical communication, and large-scale battles between organized groups. The server originally launched back in 2021, and in 2022 is what many players consider its prime. Then they eventually shut down for a period before reopening back in 2024 with the goal of rebuilding the experience from the ground up while bringing back what made old Battlegrounds RP special in the first place. Right now, the server mainly revolves around two factions, the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit and Cartel del Valmera. It's described as a semi-serious military simulator, which honestly feels like the perfect balance. People take the operation seriously enough for immersion, but it feels like a game at the end of the day instead of somebody screaming at you because you forgot fake military protocol in GTA. And what really caught my attention is how handcrafted everything feels. The maps, the vehicles, the uniforms, the systems, the scripts. It doesn't feel like they just downloaded a bunch of random assets and slammed them together. There's an actual atmosphere to the server, and you can tell the developers and community genuinely care about the experience they're building here. Now, I gotta talk about the actual performance of the server because this is something that surprised me immediately. Usually when I jump into 5M servers, especially heavy RP servers, my computer starts sounding like it's preparing for liftoff. I'm losing frames, things are stuttering, textures aren't loading, and I'm falling through the map every 20 minutes. It becomes less immersive roleplay and more survive the server optimization. And honestly, I get why that happens. Some of these servers are absolutely overloaded with custom assets, giant MLOs, thousands of clothing items, scripts on top of scripts, custom cars everywhere, entire cities rebuilt from scratch. Eventually, your PC is just going to tap out. But Battlegrounds RP feels different because it doesn't need to overload GTA 5 to create the experience. The base GTA map already gives them a huge military playground to work with. You already have Fort Zancudo, huge open terrain deserts, forests, highways, small towns, coastlines. The foundation is already there. So instead of just stuffing the server with unnecessary things, they focus on what actually matters for the experience. The factions, the weapons, the military vehicles, the combat zones, the favelas, the points of interest, and the tactical systems around them. And because of that, the performance for me has been surprisingly smooth. Yeah, every now and then I might get a weird frame drop because of a building placement or a specific area, but overall, I actually rarely run into major issues here. No constant crashing, no falling through the map, no slideshow gameplay during firefights. It all just works. But this all matters in a server like this because if you're trying to have tactical combat and immersive military moments, performance is everything. And nothing kills immersion faster than your Humvee exploding because your PC froze trying to load 17 anime billboards in a custom shopping mall. But performance and visuals only get you so far. What really makes Battleground RP interesting is the actual operations themselves. And honestly, for someone like me, that's where this whole experience became weirdly fascinating. Like I said earlier, I'm a non-combat veteran. I did my job, I served honorably, and I got out in 2016. My unit was actually gearing up for deployment at one point, but during that process, our brigade ended up going through a massive restructuring. What started as roughly a 4,000 soldier brigade combat team eventually got cut down into about a 1,000 soldier maneuver task force. So while I trained, qualified, and prepared like everybody else, my military career ultimately went in a completely different direction. And I think that's why the server grabs me the way that it does. Battlegrounds RP gives you this giant military sandbox where you actually feel like part of an organized operation. You start off going through their own version of military progression, weapon quals, infantry style training, certifications, specializations, all adapted in a way that works surprisingly well for a GTA 5 roleplay server without becoming confusing or overwhelming. And one thing you learn very quickly here is that versatility matters. If you know how to do multiple things, they'll use you for multiple things. Security, patrols, communications, convoys, recon, area control, everybody has a role to play. So far, I've had the chance to do several different patrols and operations, and each one felt completely different from the last. One operation had us running a traffic control point, basically setting up a roadblock and maintaining security while checking vehicles, identifying possible threats, and making sure no illegal activity was moving through our area. It sounds simple on paper until you realize every random car approaching could potentially turn into chaos. Another patrol had us running through maritime operations through enemy-controlled bays, watching shorelines, and moving through hostile territory by boat, which I'm not gonna lie, that felt straight out of a movie at times. But one of my favorite patrols was actually a favela patrol where we were handing out MREs while also gathering information on suspicious activity in the area. Apparently, the cartel had a stronghold there, and trust me, you could feel it. The tension was there the entire time. Also, side note, El Gordo spit the MRE out immediately, and I gotta defend the military cuisine for a second here. They're not that bad. Try menu 17 and get back to me, okay? But seriously, the patrol was the moment I really started understanding what this server actually was. Up until then, I thought it was just military GTA RP. But once you're moving through these areas, gathering intel, talking to civilians, watching rooftops, listening to radio chatter, realizing certain neighbors are controlled by hostile factions, the world starts feeling alive. And then came my first major operation, Operation Floodgate. Now, this is where things really clicked for me. Before the operation even started, there was a full briefing set up. Paperwork, planning, objectives, intel reports, assignments. They had clearly put real thought and passion into building this world, and there's even an established lore behind this server that helps everything feel connected instead of random shoutouts for no reason. Honestly, I'm getting ahead of myself here because the world building alone is something I could probably make an entire separate video about. But Operation Floodgate itself was focused on gathering intelligence on a cartel drug manufacturing hideout, and what surprised me most was the pace of it. This operation lasted over 3 hours, and a huge chunk of that time was spent sitting on a hillside observing a tunnel entrance where our target was believed to be hiding. It was patient, calculated, tense. Well, mostly calculated.
Who's going inside? You
Fuck.
fucking deserve that.
There was one moment that almost sent the whole thing sideways, but somehow we recovered and completed the mission successfully. And weirdly enough, that was the moment that pulled me into this server the most. Not the gunfights, not the explosions, not the action movie moments. It was the patience, sitting there watching, communicating, waiting, trying not to compromise the operation. And even though I never experienced combat during my real life military service, moments like that felt like the closest glimpse I'll ever probably get to understanding the mindset people talk about. And one thing that absolutely sells these moments is the communication. We've all watched military movies, we've all played Call of Duty and Battlefield, but when you're actually inside an operation where people are actively using radio procedures, call outs, formation, security reports, and real coordination, it truly changes everything. And I'll be honest, I still need to work on my radio chatter. Half the time I'm trying to remember proper call signs while also trying not to sound like somebody's confused uncle holding a walkie-talkie for the first time. But the other people in this server, some of these guys are really good at it. And because they commit so hard to the experience, it pulls you into. At the end of the day, military culture has always been about the people beside you. And weirdly enough, Battlegrounds RP captures a little bit of that. I've met some genuinely interesting people on this server already. Costello, Diego, Brown, Bucky, Young, and honestly, I could keep going. Literally every single person brings their own personality into the experience, but somehow it all blends together into this weird sense of camaraderie where you actually feel like you're part of something, not just logging into a game. Like you're going into something that people actually care about. And that's rare, isn't it? Especially like in RP communities today. Usually when you jump into online communities, especially large roleplay servers, there's always some kind of drama exploding every 5 minutes. Somebody's screaming in Discord, admins are crashing out publicly, entire factions are falling apart over ego battles. And maybe that stuff exists here too. I don't know. Every community has issues somewhere behind the scenes, but from my perspective, I'm either just not paying attention to it or it's just non-existent. And if there is, they seem to handle them privately and professionally because I don't see any toxicity at all. Their Discord is clean, organized, user-friendly, constantly updated, and the community overall has been surprisingly welcoming. Everybody I've run into has been chill, willing to help, willing to explain things, willing to get newer players involved instead of gatekeeping everything. And let's be real, every community has bad apples somewhere. That's just life. You get enough people together and eventually somebody's going to lose their mind in global chat at 2 a.m. It's basically tradition at this point. But so far, I genuinely haven't had a bad experience here. Yeah. Now, the cartel side of things of this server, that is a whole different conversation. I haven't personally interacted with much of the people playing cartel factions outside of operations, but I'll say this right now. They are ruthless. And I know some players probably get frustrated with the way they fight sometimes, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second, okay? We are literally role-playing as a United States Marine Force occupying territory that doesn't belong to us. And historically speaking, we've heard stories like this for hundreds of years, and whether it's insurgents, militias, guerrilla fighters, cartels, resistance groups, people defending territory they control are not exactly known for fighting fair. So honestly, the cartel factions being aggressive, unpredictable, and fighting tooth and nail for control actually adds to the immersion for me. It makes the world feel believable. Some days we're going to win operations, some days we're going to get absolutely humbled, but I think that's the point. This server doesn't feel like it's about farming wins or flexing KD ratios. It feels like it's about the stories being created in this process. The tension, the rivalries, the operations, the friendships, the moments people end up talking about afterwards. And both sides play their roles incredibly well. And honestly, that balance is what keeps the entire experience alive. Which actually brings me to a question for everybody watching this video right now. If you're coming in and you're joining, what side are you choosing? Now, before I wrap up, I do want to throw out a few suggestions. And I want to make this very clear. These are not complaints. I'm genuinely enjoying my time on Battlegrounds RP. These are just ideas from somebody who's become invested in the experience and thinks certain additions could make the immersion even stronger than it already is. I'm also keeping player count and server logistics in my mind here too. Sometimes operations have tons of people participating, sometimes they don't. And I'm sure there are reasons that certain systems are or aren't implemented already. So this isn't me pretending I know better than the developers or the leadership. These are simply ideas from a player who appreciates what's been built and wants to see it continue evolving. Suggestion number 1, uniform of the day. I cannot stress enough how important uniformity is in military culture. There are literal regulations for it. In the Marines, one of the regulations covering uniforms is MCO 1020.34H, which basically establishes standards for how Marines wear uniforms, maintain appearance, and present themselves professionally and consistently. The whole point is that everybody looks unified. And honestly, Battlegrounds RP already does a great job with this once operations begin. When it's time to gear up and move out, everybody looks squared away and mission ready. But on base before and after operations, sometimes you'll see multiple uniforms all over the place at the same time, and realistically, that would probably drive leadership insane. So I think the uniform of the day system could add another level of immersion. Maybe certain days everybody on base is required to wear specific utility patrol uniforms, PT gear, whatever leadership decides. It's a tiny detail, but military people know those tiny details are the stuff that really builds atmosphere. Number 2, TDC. Team development courses or quick training refreshers before operations. I've seen moments where tensions flare a little during operations. And I'm not talking about full-blown arguments or anything crazy, just little moments where stress kicks in and people snap at each other. Honestly, that's normal. But when missions go sideways and communication breaks down, emotion happens. We're human. But that's also why training matters so much in military environments. So I think it would be cool before certain patrols or operations, there were occasional quick refresher exercise, maybe a short CQB course, communication drills, formation practices, casualty response training, or vehicle convoy rehearsals. Nothing super long or exhausting, just enough to get everybody mentally locked in and operating on the same wavelength before heading into the actual mission. And honestly, that could create some amazing moments too. Imagine training in a designated safe zone and suddenly getting ambushed mid-exercise. That's the kind of unexpected storytelling that would fit this server perfect. Suggestion number 3. Oh, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one because I don't think anyone is going to like this one. But PT events. Listen, I know nobody likes PT. I'm pretty sure hatred of PT is one of the few things every branch of the military agrees on universally. But I think occasional PT-style community events could actually be hilarious and immersive at the same time. Maybe once a month there's a fun run around Fort Zancudo, a formation jog, obstacle course challenges, or even something ridiculous like a military bicycle race. And come on, hearing a bunch of grown adults trying to remember cadences while running through GTA would objectively be comedy gold. And finally, my most biased suggestion possible: the United States Army. Listen, I know this one probably comes down to player numbers, balancing, development time, organization, and a million other behind-the-scenes factors. I'm also positive this idea has already been discussed internally at some point. But the Army in me has to say it. If any other faction made its way into Battlegrounds RP, I'd personally love seeing the U.S. Army represented somehow. And yes, I'm absolutely biased here. I'm not even pretending otherwise. If I had to choose, bring in the 3rd Infantry Division, bring in the Rangers, Airborne, something along those lines. Again, not a complaint, not a demand, just me throwing ideas into the universe because I think it would be awesome to see someday. But overall, I genuinely have to say I'm a fan of what's happening here. I can't fathom this. And also, before you guys ask, I am playing Arma. Playing this got me into Arma, and I'm enjoying Milsim much more. I didn't think I needed this in my life. Battlegrounds RP. They surprised me in a way I honestly didn't expect, and not because of the gameplay, but because of the effort, the detail, the passion, the immersion that is poured into the world by the developers and community behind it. They didn't just make another 5M server. They literally built an experience that actually feels unique. It's not just King of the Hill, okay? And as somebody who served, even from a non-combat perspective, there's something really fascinating about stepping into a world like this and seeing how seriously people commit to building these operations, these stories and moments together. I genuinely hope that this server keeps growing. I hope it keeps evolving and keeps finding success because there is clearly a lot of heart behind this project. And if you've been watching this video and thinking this sounds interesting, I'll be leaving the links to the Battlegrounds RP website and Discord down below so you guys can check it out for yourselves and experience it firsthand. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out everything we've got going on over at Clean Sanchez Media. Go check out my podcast, Strong Rips and Video Games, every Saturday at 7. Check out the live stream, the content, all of it. This has been Clean Sanchez, and I will see you guys in Valmera.